The Battle of Britain is about to begin.
We got tanks up there. Let's follow a range on Detroit. I'm doing out right on the target right now. I've got a couple of these right in front of me. I'm going out for it. Right, I got him.
Welcome back to the Lead Pursuit Podcast. Yes, sadly, we all made it back from Adepticon. I know people were cheering on the mass hordes of rapists, serial murderers, and other ne'er-do-wells that apparently inhabit downtown Milwaukee, that they were going to dispose of the Lead Pursuit Podcast. But no, you still have to put up with this. And we'll start with the guy that couldn't make it to Adepticon, Matt. Are you feeling shameful, Matt, that you didn't ever run in with a homeless serial killer rapist up there in Milwaukee?
I mean, I heard the furries were like absolutely feral.
There were furries. Casey would be very proud. There would be a very detailed furry report. Steve and I kind of had a close and personal furry report. But yes, there's lots of furries to talk about. But mentioning the man, the myth, the legend, the one who probably had the most furry encounters all weekend, Steve, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm great. I got that kind of like Adepticon hangover going on, trying to get through the work week, get to this weekend, and then recover. So great time.
Once again, Brett was there without his beard, but still his shining face winning through. Brett, how are you doing tonight?
It was funny running into some folks who hadn't seen me since, Historicon, when I had my beard, and they didn't recognize me.
Yeah, they're like, you're not Brett Cantor. Who are you? Who is this new guy in the podcast? Yeah, that was pretty funny. But you know, we brought the ringer out, the old member of the podcast who just doesn't want to hang out with us. He'd rather hang out with heresy people. Chris, how are you doing, Chris?
I'm doing great, but I will remind you that we started as a heresy group and we turned into a World War II Lead Pursuit group. And I came along.
Matured into a World War II.
Call it whatever the hell you want to call it. But yeah.
You're just jealous. I see how it is. You just don't have enough airplanes. We'll solve that. Steve, print them airplanes. Anyway.
I print the airplanes.
I know you print the wonderful airplanes, not the terrible ones we corrupt people with, the freebies. Those are all our China cast ones, right? They'll have 54% tariffs, so they won't be freebies anymore. All right. Well, political jokes aside, let's talk about the upcoming schedule. I think our next event is going to be Historicon. That's 16 to 20 July. That is in lovely Lancaster, Pennsylvania, already being overrun by grognards as we speak, trying to find hotel rooms and book their lodging locations there and then complain about why they have to actually walk like the rest of us. We're not quite sure what we're doing yet. We're talking to the staff. The staff's being super supportive, trying to figure out the right place for us. Tournaments don't normally do well, ? But there's a lot of people that would like to play Blood Red Skies there. So imagine we will do a narrative event or two or three, or maybe some Aeronautica. It all depends. But I guess we better put our heads together and come up with a plan. So that should be me, Steve, maybe Casey, ? And any other poor fools who choose to join us up there for Historicon. Then we'll move on to NashCon, 14 to 17 August. That's always a good time. Matt should hopefully join us again, like last year. I think we'll have a good turnout there. Connor, who was our intern at Adepticon, should be there as well. Definitely doing the Blood Red Skies tournament, doing possibly a furball and probably some Aeronautica Imperialis. So there's just a little bit of a schedule conflict there with the furball and AI. We'll figure it out. And a conflict with my schedule. I will be on trips before and after the event, but whatever. Nobody cares about my problems and my frequent flyer miles. But we will be at NashCon and we'll host a couple events. More to follow on that. Maybe sometime in the summer, a Pax River event. I know I've been talking to the people down there. We'd love to go back down. That was a lot of fun last time in the Pax River Aviation Museum. It's just fitting everyone's schedule between kids and games and school and everything else. So we're trying to do it. we really want to go back to Pax River. It's definitely a good time, right, Steve?
Oh, Pax River was awesome. The people there were just great. The atmosphere was great.
Matt's going to disagree with you. Matt was just miserable the whole time. Didn't have any fun playing games.
That's funny. I actually forgot Matt was there.
Maryland. So
exactly.
That's
like,
strike against it.
Exactly. I got to go across the bridge. To those heathens. Yeah. So we'll try to do that again because that was a lot of fun. And hopefully the same crowd will come out and we'll get support from Roz and from Mitch and from all the other people up in that area. Hopefully some of the missile threat crowd and have a good time. Fall In, which has 0 details on the web, sometime late October, early November. Definitely looking to go back up and freeze our Nards off up there in Lancaster again. We'll see if that's where it is and what the plan is, but we definitely are going to participate. And then right after that, Phalanx Con, the Bruce Convention Center in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. And if you ask me, where the fuck is Hopkinsville, Kentucky, Doug? I'll be like, I don't know. Never been there. It's supposedly right outside Fort Campbell. So it is north of Fort Campbell. We'll be there. We'll be doing Blood Red Skies and helping out the crew from Phalanx Consortium, who is the one that prints all of our wonderful little prepackaged miniatures. So if you bought the blister packs of the Squadron Commander series of miniatures at Adepticon, you bought their products. So they've been awesome. They work with us and produce a great product. While they may not be Chris's bespoke, handcrafted 3D prints, they're good enough. And they work great. And they're a great team to work with. They play Blood Red.
Have you talked to them into printing B-17s for me?
Well, they've already printed one, so you could be off the hook. Just tell me you're a quitter, and I'll say you don't have to do it.
I'm never going to quit, never die. But God, those suck.
Yeah, they do. They do. Hey, here's the thing. If you saw the swag we had at Adepticon, the big trophies, the T-shirts, the glasses, all that stuff, send us your events. Tell us when your Blood Red Skies event is, and that way we can start the conversation about swag. And that way we can supply you with stuff that you can give to your winners, maybe even your Blue Falcons, and basically help grow the community. So please reach out to us. Let us know when the events are, and we'll see what we can do. All right. Any other events anyone has on their radar, things they want to go to, things they wish they had the time off to do, things they wish they didn't have to ask the wife if they could take their little pathetic plastic airplanes and go visit other nerds? I guess we hit the high points. All right. Flightline, what's new out there? Well, holy shit. After Adepticon, there's a lot of new stuff. Steve, I'm going to ask you, then I'm going to ask Brett. What aerial wargaming stuff did you stumble on, if any, that was at Adepticon?
Ares Games Wings of Glory is like back in
a wall of boxes.
Force,
yeah, they're back in full force. So
factory is reopened. Their first new publication runs are coming back. So yeah, they're back in full force.
And they were giving away their barrage balloons. So I was tempted to make that the loser's trophy out of the Adepticon Blood Red Skies tournament, give you a barrage balloon on the stand. But I'm not that mean. Brett, did you see anything super cool up there for aerial wargaming?
No, I agree with Steve. It was the Ares game stuff. It really, I found most interesting from an aerial wargaming standpoint. Yeah.
Chris, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say it led to a lot of cool conversations about, ideas and stuff, mechanics in that game.
Absolutely. Chris, I assume you didn't say anything because you were too busy hanging out with Stinky Heresy players and doing your painting classes.
Exactly. There were some badass things that I saw this week, but nothing to do with anything flying around.
It's all right. That's sad. That's disappointing. Well, so here's the other things that are new. The Malta map is back and in stock, and holy crap, glad I got that printed and shipped before tariffs started hitting. But yeah, it's 4 feet by 8 feet of beautiful printed mouse pad. Deep Cut Studio did the printing for us. It's awesome. We sold a couple of them up there at Adepticon. It is expensive to ship here in the States because it weighs about 9 pounds. But please, if you want one, go out to the website, order one. If you are overseas, please talk to me and we'll figure out what we can do for shipping because it may be easier to ship one from Deep Cut Studio to you. I also hear that those freaks up at Blue Falcon Hobbies are doing something besides aerial wargaming. Steve, what the hell is going on?
Oh, man. We'll talk about it later. we had so much fun playing 15 millimeter World War II. And it seems like there's kind of a real void in the United States for all the little bits and pieces and chits and counters and stuff for those games. It seems like everybody who wants the accoutrement.
Exactly.
So it's we're just gonna start. If people want stuff for that, we're just gonna start pumping stuff out as requests come in and try to grow that game a little bit.
Nice. And can they go straight to the Blue Falcon Hobbies website and request it there? Or what's the easiest way?
We kind of, when we come up with new stuff, we put it on the Facebook page. If you see a new thing launch and you want a different faction or you want a different, have a different idea, probably the best thing is just reach out through the Facebook page or direct message. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me.
Cool. Look forward to seeing all that. And thankfully I didn't play, so one less game I am not stuck into. All right. Rules changes, the intel brief. So latest tournament packet actually from March is up on the website, on the Gathering of Eagles website. So leadpursuit.net/GOE tournaments. And we did our first tournament in Longshanks. That was kind of cool. It's kind of a neat software. If you don't have a Longshanks ID and you play in Blood Red Skies tournaments, please go out to the website and get one. It's what we're going to be using. It's cool for stat tracking. It's going to have some more features here soon for list building and army tracking and seeing the stats for who's got the favorite airplane and what's the favorite doctrine and all that other crap. But we're going to keep using that. It seems pretty flexible. It's pretty cool. And it's a lot of fun to use. So the team over at Longshanks, Sam and those guys, thanks for helping us out, getting things set up so quick. And doing a quick flip to get that all ready for our first tournament with Longshanks. All right, with that, let's dive into Adepticon. So for you brave souls that chose not to go because you had something much better to do than hang out with several thousand other stinky nerds wearing black and not showering and eating really bad food, you missed Adepticon last week. It was in the Baird Center in downtown Milwaukee, which if you haven't been to the new downtown Milwaukee, it's not your granddad's downtown Milwaukee. I got to say, I was really, really surprised. My expectations is I was going to drag my happy southern ass into a shitty northern town. But it was nice. Had a really nice downtown, nice restaurants. So my expectations were that it was going to be cold, miserable, not many options, and no fun. And I was going to pretty much lock myself in the gaming venue all day, every day, until I made the mad sprint past the serial rapists and other homeless killers to get to my hotel, which is what everyone had made it sound like it was in downtown Milwaukee. Brett, was that your experience there?
No, it was. I thought it would be a lot colder than it was. The weather was pretty mild, albeit cloud, overcast and everything. But the weather was mild. There were lots of places to eat. I didn't see the downtown was very clean. I never felt like there was a lot of. I didn't see the first homeless person. I didn't hear any of that beforehand. We talked about it when we were there that you had heard, I guess, that Milwaukee was full of homeless or something. I never heard that.
Standard. You're going to hate it. It's a terrible place. Why would you ever want to move from Schaumburg in the suburbs? But
it was much better. Well, look, I liked it a lot better in Schaumburg because in Schaumburg, I feel like it's just, you're not really in a neighborhood or a town. You're just in some corporate area. But I felt like I was in a real downtown. It was cool. I liked it. It had some soul.
Yeah, it did. I thought it was kind of cool. Chris, what were your expectations going into Adepticon?
I've been to Milwaukee before. So, honestly, I've been there. I love the town. We used to go to Brewers Park all the time. I don't care what they named it now. But it's Miller Park. That place is gorgeous. And they have revitalized that town so well. And Schaumburg is a freaking toilet in comparison. In my mind, it is. Dude, just the toilets didn't work in Schaumburg half the damn time at the Renaissance. And the toilets were almost spotless with all the nerd damage that was done at the Baird Center. It was
with the nerd damage.
Dude, I was so impressed with the way that staff kept up with everything. The fact that in Schaumburg, when you did get off campus, if you want to call it, and go out into the strip mall that is Schaumburg, and eat at some chain restaurant other than Fat Rosie's, which is the only icon there other than strip mall crap. Everything about Milwaukee was individual. It was cheese curds everywhere. Yes, but
shut up. No more fucking cheese curds.
oh my God, we eat cheese curds with every freaking meal. My intestines are
straight for a week,
dude. My intestines still have not. They've not forgiven me. But the beer, the
Matt's
spotted
never
cow
listened to us again.
beer,
Yep.
everything about it. The vibe was great. I mean, you were just, and the thing that impressed me the most is you walked away from the con, and if you even got a block and a half away, you weren't at the con anymore. There was this vibrant city that was going on irregardless of Adepticon, and you never get that feel in Schaumburg where you unplug from the con and you go experience something else. And you definitely get that in Milwaukee. And hands up, I mean, the Adepticon did a great job. I was so skeptical about moving to downtown of anything with a con. And I thought it would pull a focus away and it would be so weird and not having the big hotel on site. And dude, everything about it was great. I mean, I have zero complaints about venue.
You hit the point there that I was kind of unsure of. I know Steve's going to talk about this a little, but the whole, what's it going to be like being in a hotel that may or may not be attached, and how's that going to work out? And, you know, we've been spoiled the last 2 years. We've been in the Hyatt, in the alternate venue at Schaumburg. So you literally stagger out of your room. And this year we were at the St. Kate. We were, 8 minutes, 3 blocks away. Steve, how did that work out for your expectations of the con?
Oh man, I thought it was great, right? So I knew we were going to kind of have a walk. I wasn't really sure where we were going to be. I wasn't sure how it was going to be transporting gear back and forth. And super easy. Security, super easy. The in and out of the convention center totally was way better than I expected. The one thing I was kind of nervous about is having everything in one convention center like that.
Yep.
Was super nervous about being like, feeling like it was this overwhelming, like huge thing, right? I felt like we kind of had a good thing going at Schaumburg where we were in like a separate venues, and historicals was kind of like, hey, we're historicals. We're not super crazy. We're kind of more like, a little
just
like
your weird uncle. That's all.
Yeah. We're just like a little more in our own, doing our own little thing.
We're into trains.
And that was into trains.
No, we're not.
That was totally not the case. I felt like it was a really great change in a city, still kind of had that like, down home feel to it. I liked everything about it also. It's hard for me to fault anything about the new venue.
Yeah. I was concerned about the venue. I was concerned about the size of the venue, and I think we'll probably talk about that a little bit. That there were some things that when you were, stuck from one end to the other, from historicals to paint class, sometimes there were things that were a bit far. But you got to say, when you have the run of something as big as the Baird Center, it's pretty fucking cool. I gotta admit.
Dude, the only thing that screws you up is that first floor that's got like roads that cross underneath it, because it's like it's built over the roads. Exactly. Can't. I'm just going to walk from one end to the other, and you're like, oh crap, that's right. There's a street that goes through here, and I have to go up 2 levels. I got to go over. That took a minute to get used to, but once you got that in the back of your head, you're good.
Yeah. Well, and that brings me straight to what you hated, because I'm going to talk about the negative stuff first and just get it out of the system. I'm going to throw mine out there, and y'all are going to laugh. I hated the fact there were a lot more doors than doors manned by security. And when was that? That was on Sunday, when it poured rain. And we're all like, we'll just ditch in this door here. Oh, wait, this one doesn't have security. Oh, shit, neither does this one. Shit, we're going to walk all the way around. And that's a minor thing. So when I say I hate it, the thing that I hated the most about the convention was I wasn't in a place I knew. So doing things like dropping stuff off, picking people up, going to dinner, you're like, well, which door do I use? I don't know. So if there was something that drove me batty, it was trying to go out to dinner and going on Google, well, that's a block that way, but do I have to walk half the convention center back to get to the exit to get over there? Just that level of discomfort trying to figure your way around a new center. You figure it out in about a day or so. It's not a big deal, but that was the biggest friction point I had. And if that's the biggest friction point, then that's not a terrible convention at all.
Is that
Brett, go ahead, Matt.
is that a standard procedure for them, or is that just?
So I think it probably is rated by number of attendees, and then I'm sure they charge differently based on how many security people you have to run. But it literally was funny to be staring there, looking in the door. Hello, I'm getting rained on. Can I come in? And you'd even see security stuff set up there, but there was no people manning it. Unlike Schaumburg, where you rolled in any door anyway. So, but yeah, I'm sure bigger events open up more of the entrances and exits. So. Well, Chris, what did you hate?
I hated that everything I had to do was on literally the three corners of the Baird Center. So I don't think anything.
Don't complain,
dude. I know I do. I did. I got I got all my steps in that first day with all the panic about paint classes and everything being moved. But once I learned it and figured out where everything was, where the heresy room was in relation to historicals,
exactly.
5 floors apart, and freaking where the paint center was in another hotel joined by a sky bridge. Once I got the flow of it, everything was fine. But yeah, that was a kind of a pain up front, and then all the confusion in paint classes, but I won't belabor that. They did a good job adjusting. There was a lot of growing pains.
Real time. I think, it's one of the things that they went through a perfect storm in a lot of ways of turnover of people and turnover of a location. So unfortunately, some of the people didn't know the questions to ask, the things to be upfront with the hotel and the Baird Center and lay flat, versus assuming that things would be approved and be A-OK, which, of course, each venue does it differently. And Baird Center's known for being super anal. So, it's not really a surprise that we ran into some conflicts there. But thankfully, they worked through that and got the Hilton to give us a home. Brett, what was your most hated item?
That Matt and Casey weren't there with us.
Oh,
that was not cool.
I know.
But I
still had a flood in my room even without Casey.
Nice.
It started to sound like a you thing and not a Casey thing.
Yeah, exactly. Water just comes to find me, I guess. Oh no, it was kind of funny that the shower failed. "Quote unquote" failed after housekeeping was in the room and just kept running. Thankfully, it didn't flood anything, but it's pretty funny when you walk back in your room at the end of the night, you're like, why is the water running? Yeah, whatever.
Hate strong, but I would say that I didn't have direct flights to Milwaukee like I did to Chicago in the past. That was, maybe that was more of a mild irritant, but it made travel kind of.
It is one of those points that when you're going to somewhere that's not a hub, it just adds a level of friction. It's just another flight to miss or another flight to be delayed or one more chance for you to get out of the airplane, break your freaking shit when you're putting it back in the overhead or whatever. So, I agree. It kind of sucks that you're not one-shotting the flight like we were out of Atlanta up to Chicago, which makes it pretty nice. Steve, any super big complaints, things you absolutely hated in all caps?
Number one big complaint was no suitable Fat Rosie's substitute was found on our Saturday night mission through Milwaukee.
You guys went on the death march, so
yeah, we did.
I'm impressed.
We covered probably, what do you think, Brett? 3 or 4 miles of Milwaukee walking, probably total.
Probably good 3 miles or so. I mean, it was fun. Right. Don't get us wrong. We still had a good time.
Killers didn't get you. You didn't get your kidneys stolen from you.
No. And I would also echo the flight choices and flight availability. It kind of makes you gotta finagle the work schedule a little bit more. Get home maybe a little weird hour or something, because you don't have just all the options you have if you're flying like right out of Chicago, right? The one thing I would say is it is kind of offset a little bit with you're not flying out of Chicago, right? So rolling up to Milwaukee, dropping your bags off, sitting down in the airport, that's a plus.
Yeah, I joked with you guys about I hate Milwaukee Airport, but then every time I think about going back through Chicago, I get cold chills. I really, really, really fucking hate Chicago. So on the list of airports I revile, Milwaukee is light years above Chicago. Chicago, especially for us when we were flying out there with all the gear and dropping off rental cars and all that was such a freaking red ass.
I've only flown through O'Hare like 3 times. I hate it. I hate it so much.
Have you
It's
just
worse.
transited? You've never had to, have you had to use it as
Yeah.
a destination? Okay,
Yeah,
that's
I've
right. 'Cause
never
you've got
used-
family
yeah.
up in Schaumburg. Yeah.
Mhm.
Nothing like taking the train to the last stop to get your rental car 30 minutes later. Yeah. Well, I do have to tell the story because it's pretty funny. So the search for a margarita place and the recommendations we got of some bars that sounded like they were good bars that sounded like they served good margaritas. A name like Margarita Paradise, right? It's got to be pretty good. That closes at 8 p.m. Who closes a bar in the downtown
8?
part of a big city at 8?
Dude, that's not just closing a bar, Doug.
Was it
They're closing
Sunday?
a paradise.
No,
it's
every
called
day.
Margarita Paradise.
Oh,
Margarita
Jesus.
Paradise. How can it not be open past 8 on any given day? That's not paradise
They-
to me. That's Margarita hell.
I've been led to believe that they like to drink up in the North Midwest.
Apparently,
whatever
I
you wanna call it.
have. I've been led that too, but apparently they
bar
also like to
closing at
close some of
8?
their. Yeah, at 8.
That's insane.
So apparently, there's a number of mom and shop places in the downtown that close early. Why? I don't know. But anyway, so moving on.
We saw a festive joint on our way to what do we call it? The
Man.
Botanis Death March.
Yeah,
There was some little
Botanis is the place we
passed.
wound up.
And,
There was a place
it-
with neon lights and stuff, though, that we passed.
yeah, it
Well,
closed at 9.
I think we have to tell the story of because is Botanis is the one that we were recommended.
Correct.
Yes.
So here's the story to all of our listeners. So your ever culturally sensitive Lead Pursuit podcast is sitting in a sports bar called Major Goolsby's. And several of the waitresses are obviously of Latina descent. So the question becomes, how do we ask them where to go get margaritas without sounding like we're a bunch of white racists that assume that just because they're Latina, they know where to find margaritas? So we strike up any conversation we can and, hey, some other bars, where do we go late at night, blah, blah, blah. And finally, Steve and Brett posed the question of, look, we really just want to find a place that's got really good margaritas. And our waitress looks at it and goes, yeah, I think I know a place. Hold on. Let me go get the name of it. Goes, talks to her fellow server, comes back, goes, here's the place you need to go. Go to Botanis and you'll get fucked up. So we assumed with that kind of a recommendation, it was going to be good. And I was disappointed that Steve and Brett made it back to the hotel not fucked up.
Yeah, that's debatable. It just wasn't Fat Rosie's.
It just wasn't Fat Rosie's. But anyway, so that probably was our biggest others, that we didn't have a good Mexican place to go get margaritas, have good Mexican food, hang out, and be obnoxious asses. But oh well. All right, so let's talk about the mildly irritating things. Brett, I agree with yours, so I'm going to ask you to offer your mildly irritating item.
Yeah, I had to ask that Sherwood Games wasn't right up there outside the gaming
That
hall
would
for
have been
historicals.
awesome. I mean, one, because shameless plug, Sherwood carries our stuff. They carry Blood Red Skies stuff. They carry Squadron Commander miniatures. But more importantly, it's really great when someone goes, hey, I really want to get a box of whatever. And you can go, why don't you walk out there, talk to Phil, and he'll hook you up. Because he does
Phil and Tina,
historical
they're like
stuff.
the historical fan favorite right there. I mean, there was plenty of space for it. There were other tables that had vendors of a sort there, so it seems like it's possible.
Yeah. So hopefully next year, Sherwood is up there with us because John and the rest of his warlord cronies can all cover the big vendor hall. But that way, us historical people can get our historical crack right outside the door.
I was
What
also
else were we
mildly
missing right outside the
disappointed.
door?
Yeah, I was mildly disappointed that bar that was there the first night didn't continue to stay open.
I know.
The rest of the event.
They broke my heart. We did this content creators meet and greet, gripping and grinning, having a good time, talking to Biddy Wargaming Dave and Katie Stans and all these other crazy people. And the bar's open and it's great. And there's booze flowing. And that was the last time, I think. No, we saw the bar open one more night. But yeah, I think it was open Friday night and then we never saw it again. So sad. Moment of silence for the bar. That's all right. Steve, what was mildly irritating to you? Not terribly.
I think it's very important just to mention that this is a minor irritant, right? I found the security a very minor irritant. Number one.
Was that because you're a Ted Kaczynski lookalike?
Well, that, and I also, we have a lot of shit to bring in, right? With the streaming rig and, like carrying a computer in and like just all kinds of stuff. So like when you have a lot of stuff it's a minor irritant, right? But it's only one time, so it's not a big deal.
It's not.
But
Steve,
like,
they have
the
got you
checking for booze.
profiled like down as soon as you walk in with your pile of wires. They're like, "Nah, man, no,
This guy's
hold on.
got to be a
You
risk.
step
This has
over
got to be a
there.
test." Yeah.
We're going through
The
all that.
booze.
I was surprised they didn't
Don't
break him
check
down
for
more than they
booze.
did. Yeah, they weren't checking for booze, but they're checking all of his wires. Well, it's great when you can impersonate famous people. Because when I walked back through security one day, they were so happy to look at me and go, "Oh, Mr. Vice President, so good to see you. We were your security when you were here for the convention." And I hated to break their heart, and I'm not that man. But anyway, so let's see here. What else was mildly irritating? Chris, what did you find mildly irritating at Adepticon
Dude,
2025?
I am not a cheap person. I'm not. I mean, I will gladly pay just about anything if I'm having a good time. But I got to say, the alcohol
Bills on
prices.
Chris.
Well, I'm just saying the alcohol prices at the Baird Center were insanity.
Yeah, I
So
just stopped
they're-
looking. I
Dude, it was
literally
$16
stopped
for a tall boy beer.
Yeah.
So I remember getting he wouldn't even make a double. He made two singles and poured them together. But I remember getting a margarita. It was $34.
Yep.
And it was just that. Also, I get it. We got to make money. We got to support the Baird Center and all that kind of stuff. But I hate all the people that are on the Adepticon page wanking about the fact that they can't bring a keg in. But at the same time, it's like there's got to be a medium somewhere. I did enjoy the fact that I never saw a person passed out drunk or throwing up in a toilet. This Adepticon, that was a first.
It was a first.
It was a first because I don't think that has ever not happened in the
I
past.
can give
but at the
props
same
to the
time,
overbearing Baird Center for that one.
yeah, but at the same time, it was a bit much. I mean, you could go out afterwards and have something to drink, but it was a little excessive on the price side of
I'll be
things.
honest,
And I found
money wise. Go ahead. Sorry.
You know, I found security to be freaking, if you were friendly to that group of security people, they were the most unobtrusive people in the world. If you walked in with a sour punim on your face and you were pissed off that you had to go through security, they gave you the freaking right act. And good on them. Good on them.
I mean,
if you're not a good citizen, you deserve to have every damn thing you own going through.
My whole attitude has always been be nice to the security people because guess what? They really don't want to be standing there rifling through your bag and your shit.
Every time I walked in the door, I said, "I've got 3 things. What do you want to see?" And they were like, "Sir, you can just open the 1 pouch on that bag." And I've got a 511 pack and it's covered. And they literally would make me open the main compartment, wouldn't even look at my toolbox. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. If you were friendly to them, they were very friendly back.
Well, and that's why it should be no surprise that our friendliest friend of all managed to keep getting alcohol into the Baird Center. So we won't rat him out by name, but there were plenty of people passing around pours from his bottle out there. But, once again, the attitude, like everything else, is be smart. The rule isn't there to make us miserable. Every center like that has food and beverage service, guess what? The rule is no outside food and drink. Why? Because they have a food and beverage service, because they have vendors. That's how it works. But they're also not checking your underwear drawer to find out if you're bringing any alcohol in. But yeah,
that's kind of funny seeing as I fly with that computer in my suitcase, and when I opened it up, like, underwear and socks fell out of it for security.
That was pretty funny. So for everyone who wasn't there watching Steve go through security on the last day when he brought his suitcase in so we could pack the computer back in it, yes, literally underwear, socks, and other undainty things were falling out. I almost thought of planting something in your suitcase just so they would pull it out. But yeah, no, not so much. All right. So let's be done bitching and complaining. Stuff that really made us happy out there. I'll start off on this one. I was super happy that historicals played well together, and I don't know how the other events did, but traditionally there's always rubs about tables and room and can we borrow your chairs and people dumping stuff on your tables. We didn't have that this year. And part of that's because we had a bigger venue. So people were spread out a little bit more. Part of it's also because we kind of talked about it in the staff discussions before we got there and said, hey, everybody be a good steward this year. But I was really happy that we didn't have some of the rubs that we did. Heresy and some of the other guys, I don't know if you shared a room with any other game systems or how they were. But hopefully Chris didn't have any of those kind of rubs down in the Heresy world.
No, the Heresy World was the same way. I mean, it was really an easy to get along with crowd. Everybody knew exactly where their layout was. We were in there with the BattleTech guys and with some other small games, and that makes it a little weird sometimes. It's just because kind of the crowds clash a little bit. I mean, everybody got along fine, but everybody got along fine. But I'll tell you, being in there, I love the biggest thing about being into historicals or into heresy is the fact you have a carpeted floor under your feet. That does so much to dampen sound.
Yes.
And all of the 40K nerds, hey, screw you. We don't like you anyway. I am glad you have to sit in the echo chamber that is that hell of the freaking cement freaking floor for your entire experience.
We had carpeted floor, and we had soundproofing overhead. We had sound dampening overhead. Yep. And so it really lowered the overall volume in the historicals area. So I was perfectly happy with that.
Yep. No, it was really good.
Brett, what really made you happy and feel all warm and fuzzy inside?
I was
maybe
thinking
even made
about
you pee yourself a little.
Yeah, peed a little bit. The streaming rig, I'm really impressed just how it continues to evolve and gets better every year. We're able to put it together and take it down really quick, and it's just getting the things Steve can do with it. It's getting better every single year. So that was cool. And like you said, it just kind of reiterating what you were saying, the space. I didn't even think about the sound piece. This is the first time where we didn't have a lot of ambient noise from just gamers near us, almost interfering with our audio setup during live streams. It was like we had our own thing going on. And there was never a time where I was bumping into somebody or it was, challenging for maybe the Team Yankee guys or whatever, trying to squeeze past us during their tournament. We just had plenty of space. That was nice.
Yep. Absolutely. Steve, what'd you love? What made you warm and fuzzy?
I'm going to throw this in here because we're talking about positives. This was by far my favorite Adepticon. By far. So the location was great. It was so much fun. Food choices, location, walking spaces. The convention center space was great. I love like you guys said, where historicals was, it was up top. The bathrooms were clean. The whole place felt clean. It felt safe. The city felt safe. And we talked about this a little bit, because of the layout of the convention center and where everything was at, it kind of gave us some of our own time back. Right. Yeah. So I probably did more personal gaming at this Adepticon than I've done at all the other Adepticons I've been to combined, because it just gave us that time that we could play. So that was like, that just made it much more fun. Not like we were kind of, doing lead pursuit stuff all the time.
Right. Because that boss of yours is such a jerk, always making you work. Well, what surprised you guys? Brett, what was just kind of out of the blue, something you didn't think was going to happen, but did?
Damn, I look good in a flight suit. How about that?
Okay, Pink Donkey. Pinky Donkey.
You know what? I have had Miller High Life in a bottle plenty of times before, but I've never had it on draft. I really enjoyed it. Almost every time we went out, I would get the High Life on draft.
Wisconsin piss water. This is awesome.
I liked it.
All right. Spotted Cow all the way. Sorry,
Spotted
man.
Cow was good too. They didn't have it everywhere. If they had it, I would get it, but not everybody had it, right?
Yeah, I love Spotted Cow, but I'm just kind of biased. Steve, what surprised you?
The Ethernet for the streaming was freaking cool, right? It was like, man, that's super easy. Should have been mine.
And we'll tell the story. We roll up there and we'd requested Ethernet for streaming, but you never know. You never know what you're going to get. And I'm like, okay, what crappy hotel Wi-Fi will I get? And we look down and we're like, hey guys, there's 2 Ethernet cables here. Is that our streaming? And they're like, I don't know. See if it is. And it was hot and it was fast.
Yeah, it was great.
So thank you, Baird Center. Whether you intended to give us that fast internet for streaming or not, it was fucking awesome.
And then I thought the content creator meet and greet was a pretty cool addition. Get to meet some of those people that you don't see. I wasn't sure how that was going to be, but I thought that was kind of cool. And then I'm going to put it out there. The wings at Major Goolsby's, I'm kind of picky about my wings. I like them cooked a certain way. I don't really like them if there's like breading on them. I like them crunchy, but I don't like a bunch of breading. Wings at Major Goolsby's, legit. Like, 100%. Got them 2 meals in a row. Like super surprised with the wings there.
Their food was good, and I enjoyed spilling my beer on Connor's crotch, so I could make
I had
him
burgers
wet.
there twice. They're good burgers too.
Yeah, their burgers are good. I literally couldn't do a burger the second time. I got to do something different. But I wanted to get a burger again. They were pretty damn good. Well, I'll kind of double down on the content creator meet and greet because that really surprised me. I was like, oh, this is going to be a bunch of effused people all standing there talking about how great their podcast is. Yeah, exactly. Skiing or cracking pepper. So it was actually really cool. And I got to meet some really cool people who have seen around the interwebs, followed their stuff. And I got to learn about them personally. So I think that was the one that really surprised me because I thought I kind of was really cynical and thought I was going to be lucky to show up, talk to a couple of these people, maybe hand them a business card. Maybe they would actually, acknowledge that I exist. But when you stand there and you talk to Adam from Tabletop Minions and you find out he lives in Oshkosh and he used to work for EAA and he's an aviation nerd, all of a sudden you're talking aviation for half an hour. And that wasn't at all why I went over to talk to him. I wanted to ask some gaming stuff, but who cares? You're able to interact with people on a personal level. And that was a lot of fun. I mean, we did bring our own social butterfly to that. So we brought Miriam, the Ebony Otaku, and she was definitely making the rounds. It was hilarious. So yeah, it was the content creator meet and greet was definitely a surprise to me. And I will also say, and I don't say this being negative to people, but if you show up to that, just go introduce yourself. I realize people may be for game systems you don't like or game systems you don't play. But I think you're going to find you have a lot more in common with them than you expected. And there were a lot of people that were kind of on the periphery that kind of were sitting there and kind of not necessarily going and introducing themselves. So, hey, it's a meet and greet. Stand up, introduce yourself to somebody. Feel free to be all fanboy and gushy like I was about Adam, but whatever. So we sat there and we talked aviation. All right. Enough of that. Enough of me gushing over interweb personalities. Things to fix going forward. I'm going to give my one and only recommendation. My one and only recommendation. Mike fucking Rafferty, where's my goddamn velvet ropes to keep all the freaking lower class citizens and unwashed masses away from my streaming rig? No, if that's the only recommendation I've got, yeah, I loved it. Had a great time. That was the most minor of complaints and things that, damn it, you better fix before next year or I won't come back. Chris has got a complaint or fix.
Point of order in parliamentary procedure. I got skipped in the last go round. I just want to do
what surprised you, Chris?
No, Charity Edwards and her partner Trevor in the freaking on the paint side of the house. Dude, we all went in Wednesday and checked out everything we were going to be doing. I went into a perfectly set up airbrush scenario where it was absolutely a gorgeous classroom. And I was like, this is going to be so much fun to teach in. The next morning, I went back to check my AV settings on my MacBook, and it was like something out of Twilight Zone because I walked in that very same classroom and there was not even a scrap of paper on the floor. It was just gone. And my all of the acronyms that kick in for a veteran freaking kicked in, and I was in a complete panic. And I went and found Charity down in the Wapple painting area, and she just looked at me and she says, "We're working through it." She says, "We will work with you. We will figure out fixes to all of this. We're going to make this happen." She couldn't have been more positive. And this was from what I found out, this was her first year running all of the painting stuff.
Yep.
And she was just on everything. She was always trying to freaking massage things and fix things for people. She had a lot of other people that were doing the actual communication between Baird and the other hotel and when they moved everything. But dude, she was a gem. By the end of it, I kept going by and she'd give me a thumbs up there. Everything was okay. And when I was done, she just came up to me and gave me a big hug and said, she's like, "You're one of the easiest ones we've worked with that teaches classes. I can't wait to have you back." And it was just, she was awesome. And Trevor, who I think is her partner, I don't want to misdiagnose somebody based on Facebook pages, but he was the guy that was going behind the scenes with a group of people, dumping paint water, cleaning up behind students, never a freaking complaint, always super freaking positive. They were just wonderful people. I can't wait to teach in that environment again. They were
that
awesome.
will dovetail into my recommendations going forward. Charity, please move Chris's classroom again. Just his, nobody else's. Just move his classroom.
Dude, that's evil. But yeah,
it is. I'm an
it
evil
is
person.
funny. It is funny to watch me freaking just freak out like freaking the OCD rat that I am.
It was an Enron moment. If anyone's ever heard us over.
Oh, dude, no, you didn't just do that to me.
I did.
No, oh my God, you Enron me.
I Enroned you. And if you don't know the Enron story, corner Elite Pursuit podcast member at the bar. And
we'll tell you at some point.
Exactly. All right. Other recommendations, Brett.
We have got to find a substitute or replacement for Fat Rosie's, even if it means like caravanning or something.
Dude, we did. It's called the Safe House.
Yeah, the Safe House. Yeah. Safe House, unfortunately, also closes relatively early.
On Sunday nights. Every other night it was open late. We just happened to go there on Sunday. Yep, it was open late the other nights.
I tell you, Safe House, cool, but it's not airplane of tequila shots on fire cool.
No, it's not. But it is cool being surrounded by Checkpoint Charlie, Berlin Wall, making people go through double agent tests, and
it's hard to beat the flying airplane of tequila, but we'll have to figure that out.
Fat Rosie's is pretty amazing, and I only experienced it with you guys this last go around, but it was pretty amazing. It is a gaping hole that's missing in the whole freaking Adepticon thing. We just need to get them to open a Fat Rosie's in Milwaukee. We just need to talk them into freaking coming up there.
Exactly.
And they probably will, just for us.
Because we're so important. Everyone knows that. Steve, recommendations.
Man, same one. Fat Rosie substitute. We got to do it. Airplane on fire inside shots. I mean, come on. We got to find it.
Matt is looking at us in such condescension now. You sad, sad individuals. Well, Matt, hopefully you have the show notes open so that you can be the one to ask us the questions. Since you didn't attend.
Do have them open, although half of them are Casey's. So I guess
Casey's not here to defend himself.
Oh, that's true. I should. I think you guys ended up hitting quite a few of them. Let's scroll down in the notes. All right, here we go. All right, actually, this is a pretty good one. We kind of touched on it a little bit, but how well were historicals represented compared to last year's in Chicago? Were there any major differences? And were there foot traffic differences due to historicals with the new setup and everything like that? And I also tack onto this one of my questions, which was I was confused. I thought they were still separate, but I guess as a result of combining, did we get any more like looky-loos or potential new players, people that saw the small airplanes and be like, oh, that's something I'm not used to seeing?
Well, I'll answer under the levels of looky-loos. We got Michaela, the daughter from Elric's Hobbies, came by. That's about the most looky-loos we got. So, Michaela, if you're listening, or her dad, if you're listening, make her wear the Lead Pursuit shirt we gave her. So, all right. I will cover the last question first. Because we were on the top, didn't get as much foot traffic as I think we did in the alternate venue, because people kind of would come over to see Middle Earth strategy battle game or Saga or some of those other things that weren't pure historical. What else was over there? Armada was over there last year. So I think because we were just historicals up there, we got less foot traffic, and it was funny to listen to people talk about it. Like they'd come up there, and I heard one kid say to his dad, he's like, these are those games about war. I'm like, what are all the other games around here about? But he was saying that it was historical stuff. So yeah, I think we had less foot traffic. I'll throw it over to Steve and Brett as to how it was represented compared to last year.
I don't know. So the one thing I will say is the Baird Center is really big, right? So although we were all in one location, it was kind of like historicals was separate because we were on the top floor and we were the only thing really on the top floor. And I don't know. I'm not sure that's really a negative because they are kind of two different crowds and they are, we kind of have a different atmosphere, right? So even though they're in the same building, I feel like they were still sort of separate, right? But that makes sense.
I think there was a geographical piece with that as well, because our entrance was all the way around the far side. And I think they could have reconstructed the room where the entrances to the community events, to the Warhammer and all the different companies showing their stuff off, their presentations could have been around the far side, and historicals could have been right in the front. I did kind of feel like, who are these guys over here? But it also meant we didn't have people traipsing through saying, hey, is this where Marvel Crisis Protocol is, or whatever. Goods and bads to that.
Yeah, and kind of playing off that a little bit, but like you guys mentioned Wings of Glory having a presence. Were there any other aerial war games that had a big presence, like Canvas Eagles? And I always forget the Aerodrome being the other one, or anything else, even like kind of remotely touching on the aerial war game.
There was a guy at the corner right where the entrance was. His name has escaped me now. He gave me his business card. He runs all kinds of aerial war games. He ran an aerial racing game. He ran an aerial sub hunt game. He runs a dragon hunter game based on How to Train Your Dragon that he was playing.
Was that the guy that had all the terrain and the
yes
little our stands that we hate, but like an elevated stands?
He runs,
yeah.
World War I.
I didn't
games.
get a chance to walk over and talk to him much.
I have his cards somewhere in my stuff that isn't unpacked yet, but it was quite the collection of just sort of like home brew aerial war games. It was pretty coul.
They also you forgot there, Matt, my favorite Too Fat Lardy's game, Bag Your Mum.
Oh yeah, bag the
calling Bag the Hun, Bag Your Mum took off at Adepticon, and that was everyone's favorite joke. So I must start charging people royalties for doing that. But yeah, we now henceforth shall call it Bag Your Mum. All right, next question.
I'll have to cross that out on my copy.
Yeah.
Do y'all feel there was any notable differences in this one? I mean, you all said this one was really good convention, but were there's like notable absence of any vendors because of the venue change, or do you feel like everything was like same people, same games, just in maybe a different environment that apparently, from what you guys have said, has been better?
I would think probably I didn't notice any difference in the vendors. That all looked very familiar to me. I didn't see any obvious absence. I would think just from the games represented in historicals, you correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but maybe because we had such a big space, we were all in the same room, right? Didn't it happen at Schaumburg where some of the historicals were like down a hall and down a couple stairs?
And Team Yankee were generally downstairs, and sometimes that was Middle Earth strategy battle game. But yeah, we were all in the same hall, which was actually generally good because you got to see a more diverse group of players rather than kind of who's in your corner. Where we were like the last couple of years, it was us and then whoever was adjacent to us, whether it's bolt action or whatever. So you weren't kind of pigeonholed that way. What I will say about that is, as well, is there were just a lot of games I didn't get a chance to go see. It took me until today to realize that I walked right past the Saga tables every time and didn't even stop to look. And there were so many other things going on. There were U-boat games. There were Dr. Frat was there with his crazy big battles. So
like
yes, Chris,
kind of
point of order.
No, I felt so bad because I am a big Trench Crusade fan already, as everybody was. Those guys walked through the first day and they were like rock stars with a mob around them. And I never made it to Trench Crusade because I was so wound up with everything going on. And then after everything was over, I saw all the pictures of what was going on down there. And I was like, that was the one thing for me when I was like driving away. I was like, holy crap. I didn't even make it to see all of the stuff
this time. I didn't even, I walked at an angle through the 40K world. And I know as much as I make fun of 40K, I do want to go look at the boards, the terrain, the armies. I don't want to listen to the fights and the slap fights going on. But I do want to go see it because there's a lot of lore there that I like. I didn't get a chance to do that. definitely didn't make it through. I looked at like the Atomic Mass Games streaming deck setups. That's about the most I looked at there. I never made it to Heresy. I never even darkened the door of where you guys were. So yeah, there's a lot that I missed. Probably due to just the size of the venue and all the different things I was trying to do and trying to figure out and whatever.
And that was the one thing. It was like you feel like because everything's in the Baird Center and we're not in separate hotels like we were last time, that it's like, oh, well, it'll be easier to get to everything. Dude, I couldn't get to everything. And I was there we were there for a week. I mean, we went before the con even started and started setting up, but you just get wrapped up in what you're doing and you're just swamped.
We said that about Adepticon before. When it was in two separate venues, we said you're not going to see everything. And so realize that you're going to miss stuff and ask your buddies and see what cool things went on just because there's so much.
So kind of to that, is there any notable like non-aerial games, minis, paints, anything that might be of general interest to the audience? Anything super cool that you like maybe you missed by the like larger gaming websites that they cover like the 40K releases or the Horsehair releases or the new Warlord stuff or something like that that you guys want to kind of highlight or thought was real neat?
For me, Fallout Factions. The Fallout game came out like a couple years ago and didn't develop a big genre or of people that were really playing it. But then, of course, the TV series came out and it kind of caught fire because the TV series was good. But I went down and talked with the guys that are running that and Morpheus Games, and they're redoing the game into. They're really trying to get like a kill team feel to it. So where it's almost like Necromunda kill team gangs, there are several different gangs in the world and they're doing their terrain as STLs. So like all the weird 50s, like nuclear powered cars and all that stuff you can print and the Nuka-Cola machines, you go and buy the gangs from them, but they're doing this really neat thing where they're coming out with things for the game to build boards with. Trench Crusade's doing the same thing where they're releasing STLs for the maker community so that people can just do amazing things. Like it doesn't cost them anything. They get some 3D modeler kid somewhere in Eastern Europe to crank out a bunch of freaking Fallout freaking STLs. It costs them peanuts. They give them away for free, but guess what? You come back and buy their game because you can build these amazing boards, and then there are pictures of these amazing boards. Trench Crusade right now is on fire. I think more because of all the crap they gave away, because people are out there actually building trench boards now, and it's a good model. I wish more game companies would realize that if you gave people some of those accoutrements, STL-wise, for building a thematic narrative world, it really does help the game sell. And that was one thing that was really impressive to see. Those guys really had their crap in one bag.
Awesome. I actually do have the board game version, and then I bought the minis based off of the show. When they came out, I haven't quite finished them, but they're near. So maybe one day the three of us can get together and do that at like my house. Since it's
you've got a player too in me because I bought everything. I literally, Jeremy bought me one of the sets. I was like, I'm kind of on the fence about the Fallout thing because he was trying to look for something to buy me because I bought him some stuff. And next thing I know, he's like, he goes, I got to go to the vendor hall real quick because I forgot something. And he does it every year, and freaking he came back and gave me the Fallout game.
Buy you a set of white kicks to go with your outfits.
Dude, I wore the pink shorts this year. We had matching t-shirts. And then, of course, everybody online was like, okay, where is Chris's rapper hat and his white kicks? And I'm
exactly.
Grandpa can only keep up with Jeremy so much. I mean, I got the pink shorts and I'm trying. Next year, team freaking Good Times and War Crimes will be completely legit head to toe.
Brett, you had
yeah, I tend to often focus on painting supply stuff, and AK has a set that was one of the prizes you could put in a raffle for. They do the big charity raffle, and you could actually put raffle tickets in for very specific prizes. One of those was an AK set. I think it was called something like the 120 best paints for airplanes or World War II airplanes. So it's all the belligerent factions, all the main colors you would need, 120 paints. They look like they were super, super high quality. I've not used them, but I hadn't heard of them before. I don't know if that's something that's entirely new from the AK, but I thought, man, that's right up our alley, right? And then kind of along the same lines, also an AK product. I think I might have been generally aware that this was something that existed, but what caught my attention was I saw some really well painted jet models, and I was talking to a guy that painted them. I think it was Evan, maybe painted them with AK paint pens, and they have those the True Color paint pens that are on in all the I think both aircraft and some of the major belligerent power armor camo colors, so that scale works really well, especially if it's a hard line camo pattern.
Yeah, I use those on Steve's tanks I did for him. They're super awesome for that, and also my Italians, my C205s, because the little smoke rings. I back that up. They're awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was super cool. Steve could probably talk more about the whole Ares games thing. I think that was noteworthy from, I guess, almost like a new game perspective, because they're making a big comeback, and there's some elements of that game that are super intriguing to me.
Yeah, I think, just learning what their plans are for that, learning how they really put a lot of legwork into getting the factories back running, getting Sales of Glory back. They're super open to hearing player input on those games. As far as I feel kind of bad for them, right? Because the game does have that stigma of, it went away and it's kind of like abandonware now. And they're like really trying to stress people like it did go away, but like we're back, and like they're kind of revitalizing it as a whole new game, almost like, a version 2 or like a relaunch type thing. So if you have Wings of Glory stuff, or Sales of Glory, the ships game, I highly suggest you take a look at their website and check out all the cool stuff that they have coming up.
And I'd say reach out to them about running events, because they seemed to be really interested in finding people in the community that were interested in continuing to do events, because they do want to bring the message that they're back, and that they've gotten past that iterative waved production system that was kind of a negative of how they were previously, but it's how things were done. And they want people to know they're back. They've got stuff in long-term production, and they're going to support the game.
So, and this is for, I'll just read the question. As an aspiring convention attendee, Doug's day laborer, what do you wish you'd brought and didn't need? A change of flight suit, multiple ascots, a backup pair of aviator sunglasses, and was the flight helmet too much or not enough?
Chris, tell us about your helmet.
Dude, I didn't even get a flight patch. I still haven't got my flight patch, and you promised me one. So, and I'm one of the only other aviators in the group. I mean, yeah, Doug made flight patches for everybody else but me.
Wow.
Listen, you don't need multiple ascots. You pick a nice one and you rock it. Okay?
It doesn't start to smell?
Dude, Steve looked legit between the ascot and the freaking the French solo stunt team freaking patch that he found on freaking eBay. Dude, I do. That was the most. I asked him, I was like, where did you get this patch? I mean, I want that patch. He's like, dude, I found it on eBay. I don't
think the Gordon's fisherman Brett could have pulled it off, but smiling, clean-shaven Brett and scruffy Steve looked like the French Mirage 2000 demo team standing there in Doc's smokehouse with me in a flight suit. So they were in their blue flight suits with scarves. I was in my black flight suit. We looked like 3 miscreant troublemakers. And I'm sorry, Chris. So Chris traditionally has not gone and done LPP smartass frickin' aviation thing. So I assumed he didn't want to go to the content creators meet and greet in a flight suit. Hence, I was just
joking, but I would have worn a flight suit.
I will get you.
I would have worn a flight suit, even though I would look like a very old man in freaking pajamas. But I would have brought my leather freaking flight jacket and rocked it in downtown Milwaukee.
You could have had the same discussion like Steve did. Of, do they not make this thing in a size slightly shorter?
Oh my God, that was amazing. That was one of my favorite conversations we've ever had on a
sure.
Steve wasn't sure if I a flight suit.
Wasn't sure if I ordered
Steve
a
had
flight
it.
suit or a fucking
Oh, it got better when
Snuggie.
Steve had it on. Oh my God. It was hilarious.
Steve had it taken in and it still looked like he had a room for Brett in his flight suit.
Yeah, there was room for Brett in that flight suit, and the tabs were like overlapped across each other to Velcro to the other side.
Yeah, it was like he could have almost like tied him in front of him like Daisy Duke style.
Yeah. Yeah.
The flight suits were kind of a funny conversation starter around the bar and stuff on Saturday night.
So you just fly in?
Yeah, people were like, what do you guys do? Like, no, we're just nerds.
Still like the comment when you walk through the door with the Iron Dice guys and they're like, "Are you pilots?" And Ben says, "No, the only one back there is," and it was Evan in his ratty, P40 t-shirt or whatever, not even in a flight
lumberjack
suit. Exactly. So, oh well. All right, Matt, any other questions? No other questions. I'll throw this out that we will do an episode just talking about the Blood Red Skies tournament. There's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot that went well. There's some things that didn't go so well. There's a lot that we learned. So don't feel like we're going to ignore it, sweep it under the rug. We're going to talk about that next time. But holy shit, that could fill another hour-long podcast, and we're not in the business of making long podcasts.
Just real quick, who won and what did they fly?
Well, okay, so KI 100s from Justin Baumgartner won, and it is a smash face list, so it's a multi-ace list. It's kind of funny reading his stuff on the Ready Room. So if you haven't, go out and read his analysis on the Ready Room of his own flying, and the last round he had to play one of his own guys who had actually beat him. So I'm going to throw this out to the bluest of Falcons, Kevin Eade. Kevin, you fucking failed. You were supposed to beat him. You've beat him before and you didn't beat him this time. So thanks. Now he won the tournament. But anyway, no, I thought the tournament was great. Like I said, I learned a lot. There's a lot of shit we're going to do different in the next coming months. But it gave us a kind of a baseline. And I'll say this, it was cool to see multiple geographical locations bring their 2 or 3 people. And so that was kind of cool. And hopefully we'll do that at NashCon. Maybe we'll do it at PhalanxCon, where we can get multiple groups that play together to come to the tournament. And the nice thing about Longshanks is it has a setting for no blue on blue. So you can put people in their organizations that they usually play with, and it will make sure it doesn't schedule them against each other in the tournament. All right. Enough of that. Enough of all that stuff. I do want to thank everybody that came by, stopped by to say hello, to grab a shirt, to grab a glass, to BS with us. For the people that said, "Hey, we listened to your podcast," the people that said, "Hey, we hate your podcast, you can go F yourself." That would be you, Don Ayers. And all the people with snide comments and all that. And most importantly, all the people who bought our shit from Sherwood and from Warlord. Holy crap. Thank you, because that is money that goes back into the podcast. So we don't have to run a Patreon and every month say, "Please, can we have a little more cash?" Yeah. Thanks for doing that, because that funds us coming to these events and doing cool stuff and giving away cool swag. With that, I will say, keep climbing for advantage, and just make sure you don't do it in downtown Milwaukee, where you'll probably get arrested for climbing for advantage illegally without a permit.